questions for Coach?
Well, Nebraska coming up on Friday. What does Nebraska bring to the table?
I just saw they're the number 2 ranked team in the country. So we got to be ready, but we got to be ready anyway. So I was looking for actually a weigh-in sheet on track wrestling. And track wrestling and flow now are owned by the same people. So I saw the flow, something about a number 2 ranked team. I didn't read it, didn't pay any attention to it much, except I saw the headline. So maybe if some guys need more incentive, maybe that's enough incentive. But, our dialogue and rhetoric is always the same. We got to be ready to go.
We just walked in the room, but Kobe Seabright, what have you liked about the way he's developed over the last few years, especially this year?
When you get an opportunity and it looks like the weight class may be by committee and you grab a hold of it and you don't look back, that's what we like. And the thing is, it probably is accountability and probably competitive spirit would be better. Like when things don't go his way, he internalizes it. He's accountable. He certainly doesn't, take it on the chin. He wants to do something about it, and that's what we like.
Are there traits he's always had, or has that developed over?
No, I think he's always been competitive, but when you get to this level, it's about, being where you want to be in matches and then being able to force things to go your way so you're putting points on the board in your favor. And you can talk about techniques and positions and top bottom neutral and speed and strength and quickness and everything like that, but there's something inside of you that that you have that makes you who you are on the mat, and the qualities that he has inside of him that maybe you can't put your fingers on are the ones that where he can turn it around. And we got to get a little more consistent, but he'd missed some mat time and didn't have a good performance and then stormed back. And he internalized that in a very healthy way, angry at himself, and worked on his demons, and that's how you do it. Make it go your way.
Do you think the biggest reason is that he's wrestling with so much more confidence this year?
I think that there's something inside of him that I'm not willing to share. Might be that simple. So he's going to be up here in a minute, and he can address it himself.
How have you seen Cade Seabright grow as a wrestler in his time here?
Cade, he's been here, a semester and a month or so. Brothers are a great thing. This family is tight. Kobe and Cade are tight. Cade is on a good trajectory. A lot of work to do. Young guy. Had competition at the Soldier Salute and will be at the Pat Flash Flanagan Open on January 28th.
Can you kind of describe Nelson's personality away from wrestling?
I've known him a long time, so he's laid back. He's funny. He's competitive. I would say that he's a guy that is. I mean, all of our guys are popular with their teammates, but I think that he's probably a guy that likes to be with his teammates in adventurous, extracurricular activities that are on the not extreme side of adventure, but getting there. And sometimes, the head coach would like guys to be a little less, maybe danger seeking, but there's a lot of time to do that when you're done competing. But he does not let the grass grow under his feet. And he's always been that way. He's always been that way. And the best story I can tell is one time him and his oldest cousin, from the Brand side of the family, they got into it a little bit, and Nelson's nose was bleeding, and He was just holding it out so it didn't get on his shoes or his shirt. And I went out, and it was in the backyard. I said, "What's going on?" And he just kind of said, "My nose is bleeding." And he just let it bleed, and he was laughing. That's the best story that I can tell. He just takes it in stride.
But you and Terry aren't much for 14 years?
What's that?
But you and Terry aren't much for 14 years?
I think when you're getting to this age, you are still, and even though you're about those activities, you're awful slow. And so we always say, do not wait, go. Nobody needs to babysit us. We're not to that point yet. But they do storm the top. And they get there, and they get there quick. And when you're young, there's things like altitude sickness, stuff like that can bite you. They don't bite you as much. Up and down quick. And he's got some friends that are pretty doggone good at it too. So
Is there-
anyway, we want to stick to wrestling right now. And that's what I
is there
tell
any
him.
connection with wrestling, with the mentality that kind of transfers over?
I think there is. I think that he is all business when it's time to be business, but when he's away from the sport, he wants to be away from the sport. And that's where, like for me, when I look at my career, you got a lot of time to do that when you're retired. So we don't have to rush off into the abyss. I don't want this conversation to sound like I'm down on him. I'm just telling you, that's a normal conversation between a coach and an athlete. And you're talking to a coach that's fanatical about the sport of wrestling. And when I competed, there wasn't a lot of outside room for anything, including some things that are sacred to most people. So there you go.
Speaking of just that all immersive whatnot, just throwing yourself fully into the sport, does it seem like Kobe's really benefited from that over the last few years? I know he was a multi-sport kid in high school.
I think that there's something inside of certain guys that when it becomes competitive and you finally have the chance. And so I look at last year. Well, Caleb Young had been an anchor at 157 for how many years? And, Kobe Seabrook was at 49 and anyway, but there was probably a bigger roadblock there. And so he naturally grew in the off season. Naturally made the decision to go to 157. And, we had talked to both him and Rachi about, unless you're just blowing Miran's doors off, Miran's going to be the guy. We trust Miran. So you're probably better off to go to 149. And Seabrook's probably more of a natural 57-pounder than Rachi, but that's why Rachi went to 57. And there was a close match there where Seabrook won the scramble at the end in the wrestle-off, and that wasn't the end-all. That wasn't the end-all. The end-all is when it's your spot, what do you do with it? And there was a point this season when we did dual time with them. It was a trip to New York, and Seabrook was a soldier. And when you watch a guy, when you're communicating to him that he's going to sit and the other guy's going to go, and you watch how his reaction is, and he just went about his business, took care of his business, still did the things that competitors do to get ready, if called upon, knowing that he was sitting. And that's a sign of maturity and not really being rattled by, things that are outside of his control. And I don't think in his mind he was ever, in his own mind, in danger of relinquishing the spot. I think he's very confident that it's his spot, and it's become his spot.
What are your plans for 133 this Friday?
All hands on deck.
We'll go into that decision.
Health. You gonna let me off the hook here, James Allen? Hey, thanks. Awesome. We'll see you Friday night.